like, subscribe, and share. The Hound of Dartmoor, a haunting legend. In the southwest of England, there is a vast, windswept moor known as Dartmoor, famous for its rolling hills, jagged rocks, and mysterious fog that can appear without warning. It's a place where the weather can turn on you in an instant, and if you're not careful, you might lose your way in the dense mist that covers the land. But Dartmoor isn't just known for its treacherous landscape, it's also home to one of England's oldest and most chilling legends, the Hound of Dartmoor. For centuries, the people of Dartmoor have whispered tales of a monstrous blackhound that roams the moors, its glowing red eyes piercing through the fog, hunting anyone foolish enough to wander alone at night. This hound is no ordinary creature. It is said to be an omen of death. Those who see it rarely live to tell the tale. The hound follows its victims silently, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Once it appears, it is already too late. Locals believe that the hound is more than just a beast. It is a supernatural force tied to the ancient, untamed power that runs through the land. They say that the hound is controlled by something darker, an ancient curse that has been tied to Dartmoor for centuries, and anyone who crosses its path is doomed to suffer its wrath. The legend of the Hound of Dartmoor is closely linked to the Drakewell family, a noble house that once ruled over vast estates on the edge of the moors. The Drakewells were a powerful family, feared and respected by all who live in the region. But their power was not built on kindness or generosity. The family was ruthless, known for crushing their enemies and using any means necessary to maintain their wealth and influence. It is said that the founder of the Drakewell family, Lord Edward Drakewell, made a pact with dark forces in order to secure his family's fortune. According to the legend, Edward struck a deal with a mysterious sorcerer who lived deep within the moor. In exchange for wealth and power, Edward would gain control over a creature of the night, the Black Hound of Dartmoor. The hound would serve the Drakewell family, protecting them and ensuring their dominance over their rivals. For generations, the hound became the family's most dangerous weapon. Those who opposed the Drakewells or tried to take what was theirs would soon find themselves lost in the fog of Dartmoor, only to be hunted down by the Black Hound. The creature's glowing eyes and deep, menacing growl were the last things many would see or hear before meeting a grisly end. The Drakewell family's use of the hound came with a price. The hound was not just a tool, it was a force of nature, and the family could not control it forever. The curse that bound the hound to the Drakewell family would eventually turn against them. The downfall began with William Drakewell, the young heir to the family estate. Unlike his ancestors, William was not a cold-blooded leader. He was curious about the family's past and troubled by the dark power that seemed to surround the family's name. One day, during a hunting trip on Dartmoor, William made a terrible mistake. In a moment of arrogance, he ordered the Black Hound to chase down a villager who had crossed the family's lands. This was the first time the hound had been used against an innocent person, and it broke the unspoken pact between the Drakewells and the dark forces of the moor. Soon after, misfortune struck the Drakewell family. William's brother died mysteriously, his body found at the edge of the moor with no signs of what had killed him. His father vanished without a trace, leaving only the hound's paw prints around the manor grounds. The curse had turned against the family, and it was now hunting them. For William, The nightmare grew worse. He began having vivid dreams of the hound, its fiery eyes staring at him from the shadows. Each night, the hound would come closer, its breath hot on his neck, its growl echoing in his ears. William's health deteriorated, and his mind began to unravel. He knew that the hound was coming for him, just as it had for his brother and father. Desperate to escape the curse, William sought the help of an old woman who lived on the edge of the village. The villagers called her a witch, and she was rumored to have knowledge of ancient magics that could counter the curse. With no other options, William begged the witch for help. The old woman revealed that the curse on the Drakewell family had been placed centuries ago, when their ancestors first bound the hound to their service. The only way to break the curse, she said, was to return the hound to the place it came from, the heart of Dartmoor. There, in the center of the moor, stood an ancient stone circle that was said to be a place of great power. William would need to find the ancient artifact that had been used to summon the hound and return it to the stone circle, releasing the hound and freeing the family from its grip. William returned to the Drakewell Manor and searched the family's old vaults for the artifact. After hours of searching, he found it, a stone tablet etched with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. The tablet was cold to the touch, and holding it filled William with a deep sense of dread. With the artifact in hand, William set out across the moor on a dark, foggy night. The wind howled, and the thick mist swirled around him as he made his way toward the stone circle. He could feel the hound following him, its eyes burning in the darkness, but he pressed on. When William reached the stone circle, the hound was waiting for him. Its massive form loomed in the center of the ancient stones, its eyes blazing like fire, and its growl shaking the very earth beneath his feet. The hound's presence was overwhelming, and William could feel the weight of the curse bearing down on him. The creature's growl echoed across the moor, a deep, primal sound that seemed to come from the very earth itself. Its eyes, glowing like twin embers, locked onto William as he approached the stone circle. His heart pounded in his chest as he stood at the edge of the circle, gripping the ancient tablet. The air was thick with tension, and every fiber of his being screamed at him to run. But he knew there was no escaping the hound. The curse had been set in motion long before he was born, and only he could stop it now. William placed the stone tablet at the center of the circle, right in front of the hound. The symbols on the tablet seemed to pulse with an eerie light, reacting to the power of the ancient stones around them. As he recited the incantation given to him by the old witch, the ground beneath his feet trembled, and a cold wind swept through the moor. The hound let out a deafening howl, a sound so terrifying that it sent a shockwave through William's body. He felt the ground shake beneath him as the creature bared its teeth, its massive jaws dripping with shadows. But as William finished the final words of the incantation, the stones in the circle began to glow, and a strange energy filled the air. For a moment, everything was still. The hound stood motionless, its fiery eyes locked on William. Then, slowly, the creature began to fade. Its form grew more transparent, the shadows that made up its body swirling and dissipating into the mist. The glowing eyes dimmed, and with one final growl, the hound vanished completely, leaving only silence in its wake. William collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. The oppressive weight that had hung over him for so long was gone. The curse had been lifted. The Hound of Dartmoor The ancient force that had haunted his family for generations was finally at rest. With the curse broken, the Drakewell family's long, dark history of tragedy came to an end. The manor, once a place of fear and mystery, was abandoned. William, the last of the Drakewells, left Dartmoor behind, seeking to start a new life far from the place that had brought his family so much pain. The people of Dartmoor were relieved, though the legend of the Hound lived on. They told stories of the Black Hound with its glowing eyes warning travelers not to venture too far into the moor after dark. Even though the Hound had disappeared, the fear it had inspired over the centuries remained. But Dartmoor itself never truly gave up its secrets. Some say that, on misty nights, when the fog is thick and the wind is howling, you can still hear the faint echo of a hound's growl in the distance. Whether it's just the wind playing tricks on the mind or the lingering spirit of the beast, no one knows for sure. Those brave enough to explore Dartmoor's desolate landscape tread carefully, never knowing what might be watching them from the shadows. After all, some curses, even when broken, never fully fade away.